final time in 2024, our Canadian women's national team takes to the pitch. Options for Alidou. She'll shoot, and what a hit that is! Bullying her way off the ball. Incredible effort from Olivia Smith. Really decent ball, and Gilles fights for it and has another. Still Adriana Leon turning, firing, and adding a fifth for the curtains. It's a new year and, dare I say, the start of a new era for the Canadian women's national team. We are back at the Pinatar Arena Football Centre for the Pinatar Cup. Jordan Wilson, who said there was nothing to play for in 2025? A tournament to begin the year and the first match under new head coach Casey Stoney. We're so excited to have you back on Matchday Live, Canada and China, right here on One Soccer. The first of 3 matches in this competition. It begins, of course, today against China PR, and then a familiar opponent, Mexico. That match will go on Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Mountain. And then on Tuesday, Chinese Taipei, 2 p.m. Atlantic Time start and noon Central. 3 matches for this group to get reacquainted with each other, and a chance for us to get reacquainted with our friend Amy Walsh, who joins us live from Montreal. Walsh, Jenkins, and Wilson, what more could you ask for? Hey, Jordan. Hey, Amy. Hey, you both played professionally. You both played under new coaches, different coaches. This is obviously something new, a new challenge, and a blank slate in a lot of ways. But let's talk about Casey Stoney first, Amy. What's her job here, quite frankly?
Her job is to do what the caretaker coaches did in the fall, which is basically shepherd this team, which we know is sophisticated, savvy, experienced, intense belief in one another. And just to be there, a little bit of change, layer in some tactical nuance, a little bit of change, as Casey Stoney said in her press conference, but a little bit at a time, small doses. And also she's going to get the benefit of the bump of players wanting to impress. But I think it's, for the first time, it's less about Stoney and it's about these players, shackles off, fully supported, playing with some freedom and a willingness to express their full identities without sort of repercussions, and redefining really what playing without a mistake means. And I think Casey Stoney is just there to hold this group and kind of shepherd them along to find a new level, which I think they're capable of when you look at the depth of talent at their disposal.
I think as a new coach as well, Casey Stoney's going to know the players that she can trust and who are the pillars in this team. But then there's also those players that they have that potential that you have to go and maybe encourage and really use that time. So there's no better time than having this week of preparation to play these type of matches and to be together. And who she's going to rely on. Who's those next players that are going to be leaders for the squad?
And who perhaps didn't fit in, Amy, in the last system? And you mentioned the word unshackled. Like, the players we're about to show you in the starting 11 look very different than perhaps the old regime's preferences. And I think that's going to be a theme of this camp, is trying different things over these 3 matches. But there's a holistic answer to the question next, Amy, and that's, how does this look different than before? I know Canada sort of adapted that 4-2-3-1. They made it work in some ways, but there were some holes in it. I know we're going to experiment, and by we, I mean the Canadian women's national team are going to experiment with players and formations, but it seems like the messaging we've heard from Casey Stoney is there's a specific type of football that she would like to see the team play, and I think the exciting thing is it seems like there's the players that can play it well.
Yeah, I think it's layering in another level on this team. So not only in terms of performance and the results that they're going to go out and get against top teams, against tier 1 teams in world football, but it's unlocking the ruthlessness, the threat, the sophistication and the fluidity, the dynamic play in the final third, which has been what this team is lacking. And to Jordan's point about allowing players who couldn't shine under Bev Priestman, giving them the valuable minutes, relying on them, giving them the responsibility and seeing how they respond, that's what this entire year is for. And that's what these 3 matches as part of the Pinatar Cup will kind of start for this team. It's kickstarting a new era under Casey Stoney. What is she going to bring? Can she elevate their performance in terms of the offensive output? I think you definitely have the individual profiles profile's there. It's what can she bring out of them, and can we see it come to fruition over these 3 games?
And speaking to Casey Stoney yesterday, like she mentioned that she wants to play attacking football, get the ball forward as quickly as you can to players that can go and hurt the opposition. She did also admit that this is going to be a time where it's going to be clunky and it's not always going to work, and you have to have players that are willing to adapt. But I think if you're a player, and I know for me as a player, when you have a manager coming in who just puts their identity out there, says let's buy into it, but it's going to be patient, it gets the team motivated, like, okay, this is how a manager wants to play, let's abide by their rules, and let's try to make the most of it. So I think today is just a step forward to try to see this new era and this new Stoney way of football.
And it just seems like a building block because, Amy, you know as well as anyone, this has been a very strong defensive team for years. Noticeable, in fact, under Bev Priestman versus top 10 teams in the FIFA World Rankings at tournaments, 9 games played, 7 goals scored, and only twice were there multi-goal games. And yes, failing to score in open play of 6 of those 9 matches, it's just not good enough to win games in tournaments. So this is what the new era of Canada could look like. The starting 11 brought to you by GE Appliances. Right off the bat, let's reintroduce you to Janine Sonis, who has obviously gotten married over the offseason, or in the swings between the windows. She plays right wing today beside Julie Grosso and Emma Regan in midfield. But the thing that stands out, of course, is the 2 strikers, Jordan Wilson. Nichelle Prince, her 30th birthday today. She'll have some company up there. It's very different, and I think if this is how they want to build for the future, and I don't know why they would play it if it wasn't the case, 2 center forwards is a good look for this team who has times, Jordan, has had trouble scoring goals.
Yeah, I know people love it. I know sometimes when people talk about the lineups nowadays and there's just one striker that has to do a bunch of stuff, but you could already see with Prince and Vienne playing side by side, both 2 different profiles, right? Prince, very quick, loves to just get the ball in behind. Vienne loves the hold-up play, but is a fox in the box as well. I like it. The biggest question mark, and I don't want to lead too much because I feel like Amy might touch on it, just knowing her a bit, is that when you play with 2 strikers and then you have 2 midfielders, what happens if they don't get the ball and you have to defend? You need someone to go and break up play. How do they go and defend together as a unit? But I like the emphasis on trying to go forward and score goals, because goals change game, and you need more of them with this Canadian national team.
Amy, what do you think about, obviously, there's some players missing. There are some players in the NWSL in preseason, the NSL just getting going as well. So there's a lot of North American-based players who really haven't kicked a ball in anger in a while. There's some return to plays as well. But there's some interesting things here. There's some players that we've gotten to see. But Ali Du at left wing perhaps is something that is new for supporters of this team.
Yeah, is kicking a ball in anger like not looking back in anger? Is that like an Oasis reference?
I'm not smart enough or musically inclined enough to be able to do that. I'm sorry. This isn't a Gareth Wheeler production. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, to your point about Ali, I'll come back to it, because I think if you look at who's missing, that's maybe what comes to mind first, is not necessarily who's featuring as part of this 11. I think no matter who is out there, it's how do you link that rock solid, we're not going to concede, resolute defensive mindset that this Canadian squad has already had, with this kind of confident, free-flowing, dynamic offense that you want to layer on top of it. And it's how do you knit the 2 together? Well, it's high tempo, it's purposeful football, it's a higher press. So Casey Stoney talked about the Chinese being able to play quick, neat, kind of rapid, short passes if you don't press, and then if you do press them, they're going to look to go a little bit more direct. I think you get the best out of this group, no matter who's out there as part of this 11, by being suffocating in your press, imposing yourselves that way on the match, and then going forward at that point, galvanizing the squad and relying on the threat that you have naturally into center forwards, into number 9s who have played as a target as part of this pass at that 4-2-3-1 that you alluded to, Adam. So it's how do those 2 combine? Can you get Ali Du drifting in, playing in between the lines, which is something that we haven't seen a tremendous amount out of this team, and can we unlock the offensive output that way?
But to your point, Amy, quickly, it's like we've all played in games where if you are late to a press, right? And you're running 60, 70 yards. So it's just picking those moments when to do that. Obviously, when you start a game under a new manager, the first 10 minutes could be perfect in that press. Or you could be late and sloppy and disjointed. But it's those leaders within the squad to say, hey, let's hold our horses. Let's get behind the ball. If we are going to go press, it's all 11 players. Even the bench should be pressing. They should be up and moving and tilting to one side. That's what they need to get going forward for Canada. It can't just be 2 players and then they get bopped and played around. Everyone has to go and hunt together.
Well, Amy, speaking of players who are probably thrilled to have a fresh start, and I know we've been speaking with Vanessa Gilles yesterday, there was this clarity almost in the players of having a new coach to impress and trying to keep the past in the past. One of those players has to be Gabby Carl. We see her at right back today. And I think everyone who's watched it and really knows this team is like, she is a great fullback who can put in a shift time and time again. I guess bizarre or at least eye-catching is just the fact that she's on the right today. But I think this is a player, especially in a 4-4-2, that could really make a niche for herself.
She can, and I think if you look at the profiles as part of this team, like I wouldn't be surprised to see it to go to more of a diamond where you free up that space in the channels for Lawrence to bomb on, for Carl to get up the pitch. And I remember, I'm shifting gears a little bit from Stoney to Jesse Marsh, but he was talking about redefining what making a mistake means. So you get a player like Carl who is intent on playing purposefully, playing progressively, going forward, finding something, finding spaces, whether she's breaking lines on the dribble or she's connecting with one of those front runners in Prince or Vienne. And if you lose the ball in that instance, you know that she's great out of possession, that she's going to pressure players, she's going to help those around her. So I think if that was something she complained about or something that she bemoaned under Priestman, is that she was harshly judged for playing her brand of football and criticized for it if she was making mistakes. So now, to go back to the word that you used and I chose as well, is unshackled, a little bit of freedom about these players. That weight is now lifted. Are we now going to see a better version of Gabby Carl in that national team jersey than we've ever seen before? I think that's what this era under Casey Stoney allows these players to have, that it's the potential and the promise of something, because we know that level is there.
I hope we do, Amy, when we're speaking about Gabby Carl, just getting up and down that right back position. Defenders should defend. That's where you start with for me. Then you can go forward and do all the things that Amy said. But this has to feel like, for Gabby Carl, first day of school vibes. The added bonus is that you're with your friends. Like, you all are getting that fresh start. Look, I've never been cleaner, fresher than the first day of school. This is what is there right now for the Canadian women's national team when they play China. Go and express yourself. Go and be free, because Casey Stoney also knows that this is going to be a process. But you want to be one of the best players on the pitch, because that is the new standard now moving forward.
Well, their opponents today, China PR. Let's learn a little bit about them, at least how they're going to look to start the match under Ante Milicic, who is going to theoretically match up in a 4-4-2. But Amy's already touched on some of the typical profiles of this group. Very technical, very fast. They are generally a very cohesive group, the Steel Roses. Though they haven't had Canada's number in a while, 7 matches in a row they have lost to the Reds. Also coming up on One Soccer, hey, Jordan, attacking, possession, dominate the ball type of football, that's the Vancouver Whitecaps under their new head coach, Jesper Sorensen, and we will see them in CONCACAF Champions Cup tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific time at Saprissa for leg number 1. Hope you'll join us right here on One Soccer. This is Matchday Live. We'll be back with more.
Up to 33% on select Walmart brand products. She nods in approval and places the tuna in her cart. This lady loves her tuna. She questions the ominous voice above her. Oh.
Basketball is a very physical sport. There's so many times that I've got hit on the basketball court. Marks don't hold you back.
Movement leaves marks. Your antiperspirant shouldn't.
Degree Ultra Clear. Non-stop protection against white marks.
Stella's Canadian Championship carrying on. Pass it in the box. Ahead of Roberto Zapater. Chance again. Can you believe a second loss for a brace? Square pass for Josh Hurd has found the opening goal. Buenos Dias, 62nd minute, breaks the deadlock.
Cordova sends a clean run, and has opened the scoring.
It's a collector's item. And the Wanderers lead by 2-1.
The match's opening goal, Diogo Resurrecel.
This ultimate mouth-watering moment is brought to you by the big, bold, ultimate taste of Ultimate Chicken Hot Dogs, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
It is our first national team match day of 2025. This window, 3 matches for Canada to try to impress their new head coach. A player who has impressed Casey Stoney but won't be starting the match today is Olivia Smith, who is in unbelievable form for Liverpool, scoring some howlers and is thrilled for this new year.
I definitely think a lot less pressure, just knowing, okay, no major competitions are coming up. Now we have time to really find our feet as a team collectively. And I think everyone can say the same. And especially just, finding a system that works best for us will be really important. But definitely excited just by, how the past few weeks have been, conversations with her. Definitely looking forward to it. She's been amazing. And to add to that, some of my teammates actually in Liverpool and some of my coaching staff, they've had nothing but amazing things to say about her as well. Just her personality. She's passionate, driven, and definitely something that I love in a coach, to push me, but even just all of my teammates to be better. So yeah, definitely looking forward to how these games go.
What would you say are sort of like the overwhelming, not intricacies, but the thoughts and the type of football you want to play?
I mean, easily said, scoring goals. And I think that's definitely something that, not something that we've struggled with, but definitely when we get into the final third, we can definitely take more opportunities. We can win games by more than 1 or 2 goals, while keeping our defensive strength. So I think that's really the biggest point for us, is just creating chances and scoring goals.
How good can this team be?
Literally can be described in one word, which would be unstoppable. I mean, because we have all the quality in the world. And I think it's just super exciting. Once we all find our feet, it's going to be scary for other teams. I can tell you that.
That Olivia Smith is called a mic drop, and I wouldn't dare end this interview any other way.
I should have warned you about the odd, weird-looking guy on the left. That was our conversation with Olivia Smith yesterday, which you can find on the One Soccer YouTube channel. Amy Welsh, is brimming with confidence right now, as she should. I'm sure it's a player that we'd love to see come off the bench a little later today. We're not going to see her in the starting 11, though, so maybe we'll have to wait a half, maybe 60 minutes to see one of Canada's most in-form forwards. So if I was to ask you what you're looking forward to seeing from the group, it could be a player, it could be a theme, it could just be a general takeaway. What would that be? Because there's a lot of questions to answer today and over the course of this tournament.
I would say goals. Just like Olivia Smith just said, like, I want to see this team's attacking identity emerge. So not only what is going to be, like, what Casey Stoney is espousing, but what these players are able to generate. I think especially in that attacking third, that final third, which is where they've been let down in the past. So Jordan said a word before, and it's patience. And I think it's patient as a fan, as a pundit, with the process, how it's going to take time to evolve. But I also think within each of these matches, that much like their experience in the Olympics under duress and how difficult that was, that that first win against New Zealand was a microcosm of the experience they were living off the pitch. Each of these matches and the faces that we see and the talent and the quality that emerges could be a microcosm of this process over 2025. So I'm looking forward to seeing goals, who's able to generate them and that offensive output, but also who stands out. Who's going to show up today? Who's going to make noise?
Hunger and humility. Who's hungry to go and show what they can do? And then the humble part about it, the humility part, is that you get to play for Canada and you're playing with your sisters and your friends. Go out and show what you can do. Yeah, all that is great, but that is what the essence of this game is, or this tournament is to get together and really show what you can do as a collective.
Great points. Also a great name for a band that we should start. I'm hungry, you guys are humble. Just like this Canadian women's national team, who is hungry to finally kick a ball again and do so under the new head coach, Olivia Smith. Just keep rolling these highlights. That's way more fun to watch. We expect to see more on this same grass pitch, by the way, later on this afternoon. We'll keep counting you down to kickoff when we return to Matchday Live on One Soccer. CanadaSoccerStore.com is the official home for the widest range of Canada Soccer licensed product, match jerseys, and fanwear.
Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living? Who cares for what you've got if you're not having any fun? Are you having any laughs? Are you getting any loving? If other people do, why can't you have a little fun? And have a little fun. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, Canada!
Access Storage, supporting Canadian communities for over 25 years. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
From nutritious feed to 7 times omega. Enjoy the goodness of Nature Egg Omega Plus eggs. A lot goes into a little at Burnbrae Farms.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. We continue to work our way towards kickoff between Canada and China. If you missed it, your starting 11 brought to you by GE Appliances. Sabrina D'Angelo is going to start in goal today. Vanessa Gilles, the player of the year for this women's national team. She'll line up beside Shalina Zadorsky, Gabby Carl, Ashley Lawrence, your fullbacks. Janine Sonis with Julia Grosso, Emma Regan, and Mimi Alidu with 2 strikers up top. Hopefully some goals for Matt Cullen and Jess Lisi to bring us in the booth.
A new era begins in Canadian women's soccer. Tonight in Murcia, Spain, the Canadian women's national team plays its first match of 2025 at the Pinatar Cup, the first of 3 friendlies in this international window, and today beginning against the People's Republic of China. A new era and a new manager for the Canadian women's national team as 42-year-old Casey Stoney, the longtime English defender, takes over as the new Canadian women's boss. The beginning of a new cycle, a look ahead to the W Gold Cup next year, and of course the Women's World Cup of 2027. First, the pre-match ceremony.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Canada. Thank you.
On a beautiful night in southeastern Spain, the new calendar year begins for the Canadian women's national team. A friendly date in this Pinatar Cup against the People's Republic of China. Here is Casey Stoney's first 11, looking like a 4-4-2. In the middle, Julia Grosso and Emma Regan getting the call. Nichelle Prince, on her birthday, gets